Greetings! I'm Tantus Nav Van Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It's time to continue our talk about BESM. Today I'm going to start getting into the rules of BESM and some of the game mechanics. Now I want to note before anything else, any rule here is subject to change by your game master as they see appropriate. Now some of the basics are probably going to change and stay the same, and your game master is not going to do anything major to it. But when I'm talking about a rule, it's going to be open for some interpretation depending on what your game master feels is necessary for the game. It should be well balanced, it should be a good choice, it shouldn't not dick with you. That's the easy way I'm going to say it. It should do nothing to like really mess with you, any kind of rule change. You're going to, if you kind of feel problems with it, talk them out with it. You know, discuss it with them, especially if it seems like an unfair ruling. Maybe you can get them to change their mind, or maybe you can kind of understand where they're coming with and how it helps the game. Anyway, now time is measured in two ways in this game, scenes and rounds. A scene describes like a scene you're in, like if you're having something going on in an alley and you're in that alley for a period of time doing things there, that's your scene. A round is between 1 and 10 seconds that happens that something occurs in. That's usually for combat. Rounds are the measurement. That a round takes place and in that I'm in combat for a round. Now as a player you would describe your actions. Be descriptive about what you're doing, but don't go too far. You don't want to go crazy with your descriptions. But you want to be just enough that the game master will be able to figure out what you are setting with your description and figuring out the scene. You know, the more descriptive you are, the more that they can have what kind of scene occur that you want, depending on your actions. But again, don't go too far or it might go too crazy and it might sort of bog things down. Now, anytime you are going to have to roll a check, which is not going to happen all the time, your game master might not have you roll at all. But if they do, you will roll 2d6. You will roll 2d6 and it will you will try to match a number, either match it or get higher than it. Now, there are circumstances where your game master will just say you automatically get a 6. This is going to be situational, and it'll basically be like you don't need a roll, and a 6 may or may not get you it, but it's basically taking the average. It's taking the easy way out, and it might be that you're doing something very easy that a 6 might be okay for you, or it might be that you're trying to do something challenging and that it's sort of like that's trying to just do it easily. Rolling may or may not be better for you in that circumstance. Now, as I said, your roll is you roll the dice, and then you add anything you add to it, any kind of modifiers or and you try to either meet the target or beat it. Now, an easy roll would be difficulty of 6. A really impossible roll would be difficulty around 24. It sort of measures about how difficult it is to get on 2d6, and this is including any modifiers you have. Now, the kind of modifiers you have is if it tells you to roll a stat roll, you would add your stat to it. So if I roll a body roll, I'd add my body. On the other hand, if I'm rolling a skill roll, I'd roll whatever stat's important to that, plus your whatever skill rank you have in that skill. So if I'm doing something like an acrobatics, I would roll the appropriate stat plus the acrobatics plus my 2d6 and figure out how much I get then to see how successful I am. Now you can have opposed rolls. When opposed rolls occur, it's different than the normal difficulty. An opposed roll would be I roll and someone else rolls and we roll the same thing, and we see who's higher. And whoever's higher wins in this opposition. Now people can cooperate and work together, and you get bonuses to rolls by doing that. You can also do skills that certain checks might require 2 skills at once, that the 2 skills working together would actually enhance whatever you're trying to do. If I describe something that's based on 2 different things at the same time that I want to do, I could roll those 2 as they come together. Maybe I'm better at that sort of thing. Now there are certain things you can roll without having the skill. It might just be that you can just do it anyway. It might be you get a penalty to doing it if you're trying to do it without having the skill to it. It also might be that you can't roll it at all. Those are the 3 options, and your game master will tell you which it is appropriate. That if I don't have this skill, if I get a penalty, if I get no penalty, or if I just can't do it at all. Now let's talk about initiative. When you're figuring out your initiative, you roll your 2 dice, you add your base combat value, and then you add any modifiers you have to initiative. There might be certain abilities that would add to your initiative, and then you add them in. You, of course, then are putting it from highest to lowest to see who goes in order. Now your attack is, of course, going to be the 2 dice you roll, plus your attack combat value, plus any modifiers you have, and your defense, which is going to be blocking, parrying, dodging out of the way. That's going to be your 2 dice, plus your defense combat value, plus any modifiers on it. Now your game master also controls the difficulty. They might tell you don't need to roll something because either it's too difficult for you to get or it's too easy for you to get, that you have no roll, because there could be circumstantial penalties. Circumstance penalties could be, or bonuses. There are different times where you could have a bonus to your roll or a penalty to roll depending on the circumstances. So a circumstance might get that you can't roll above a 1, or a circumstance, so you would always roll a negative because it cancels out your entire value. Or it might be that you have a circumstance where you have such a high bonus, there is no need to roll. You can't fail it. Both cases can exist. Now, any listed attribute will tell you if there's any kind of check related to it, whether it's skill, whether it's stat, whether it's anything else, it will tell you if there's any check related to it. Otherwise, you're going to assume your attribute will not have a check related to it if it doesn't tell you. Anyway, so that's all I wanted to talk about today. I went over some of the basic game mechanics, helped you try to learn a bit of them. If you have any questions, comments, anything you want to say, anything you think I missed, leave it in the comments below. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. It's a good way of showing your support that that this video helped you out. Please subscribe if you already haven't. We're always looking for more citizens, more members of the Empire. Please share this video if you know anybody that could learn from it, anybody that would enjoy it. And until the next time, I bid you farewell.